Have you ever thought about growing your own food at home? Imagine the satisfaction of biting into a fresh, crisp carrot or a juicy tomato that you've grown yourself. Not only is home farming cost-effective, but it's also a fantastic way to improve your health. The food you grow is free from harmful pesticides, and you get to decide what goes into your soil and onto your plants. Plus, there's a special joy that comes from nurturing a seed into a thriving plant. This video is your guide to starting a home garden. We'll walk you through the simple steps, from choosing the right plants to harvest time. You'll be surprised how easy it can be to grow your own food, no matter the season. And the best part? You don't need a green thumb or a sprawling backyard. So, let's start your journey to become a home farmer. The first step in home farming is choosing the right plants. Now, you might be wondering, what makes a plant right? Well, it's all about compatibility, with the season, your local climate, and the space you have available. When it comes to seasons, each plant has its own preference. Some thrive in the warmth of summer, while others prefer the cooler temperatures of spring or fall. For instance, if you're starting your garden in the spring, you might consider plants like peas, lettuce, and radishes. These cool weather crops can handle a light frost and actually prefer cooler temperatures. On the other hand, if you're planting in the summer, focus on heat-loving plants. Tomatoes, cucumbers, and peppers are all excellent choices. They love the sun and will reward you with a bountiful harvest if you give them plenty of it. Next, let's talk about climate. While some plants are hardy and can adapt to various conditions, others require specific climates to thrive. For example, if you live in a dry, hot area, you might want to opt for drought-tolerant plants like rosemary or thyme. These herbs are native to the Mediterranean region and are used to hot, dry conditions. But what if you're limited on space? Well, that's where container gardening comes into play. Many plants, including tomatoes, herbs, and lettuce, can be grown in pots or containers. This makes them perfect for those of you with small gardens, balconies, or even windowsills. Now, for those of you just starting out, you might want to begin with some easy-to-grow plants. Herbs like basil and parsley, salad greens like lettuce and spinach, and vegetables like radishes and tomatoes are all great choices. They're hardy, grow quickly, and don't require too much fuss. Remember, starting with easy-to-grow plants will make your home farming journey smoother. It's all about taking that first step and learning as you go, so get out there and start planting. Now that you've chosen your plants, let's prepare the soil. The soil is the bedrock of your home garden. It's where your plants lay their roots, draw nutrients, and ultimately, it's what helps them to thrive. So good soil preparation is crucial to your garden's success. First, let's talk about composting. Composting is nature's way of recycling. It's the process of breaking down organic material like vegetable scraps, leaves, and grass clippings into a nutrient-rich soil conditioner. Adding compost to your garden soil will not only provide essential nutrients for your plants, but also improve soil structure and water retention. Next, we have soil types. You see, not all soils are created equal. Some soils are sandy, others are clayey, and then there are those that are loamy. The best soil for most plants is loamy soil, a balanced mix of sand, silt, and clay. It's well-draining yet moisture-retaining, and rich in nutrients. But don't worry if your soil isn't loamy. You can always improve your soil's texture and nutrient content by adding organic matter like compost or well-rotted manure. Now let's touch on pH levels. The pH level of your soil can greatly affect your plant's ability to absorb nutrients. Most plants prefer soil that's slightly acidic to neutral. That's a pH of around 6 to 7. You can test your soil's pH with a simple kit from your local garden center. If your soil is too acidic or too alkaline, you can adjust it with lime or sulfur, respectively. But remember, changes in soil pH happen slowly, so it's best to test and adjust your soil's pH a few months before planting, so there you have it. Good soil preparation involves composting, understanding your soil type, and adjusting its pH level as needed. It may sound like a lot, but trust me, your plants will thank you for it. With the soil prepared, you're ready to plant your seeds. It's time to get your hands dirty and plant those seeds. Planting the seeds is a crucial step in your gardening journey. It's the moment when potential turns into the promise of growth. But to ensure that promise is fulfilled, there are a few key things to remember. Firstly, depth matters. As a general rule, seeds should be planted at a depth approximately 3 times their width. However, there are exceptions to this rule, so always check the specific requirements of the seeds you're planting. Some seeds, like lettuce, actually need light to germinate and should be gently pressed into the surface of the soil. Next, let's talk spacing. Each type of plant needs a certain amount of room to grow and flourish. Too close together, and your plants will compete for nutrients and sunlight. Too far apart, and you're not making the most of your garden space. So, refer to the seed packet or a reliable gardening guide for information on optimal spacing for your chosen plants. Now it's time to plant. Make a small hole in the soil with your finger or a dibber, place the seed in, and lightly cover it with soil. If you're planting larger seeds or bulbs, you might need to use a trowel. Remember, you don't need to compact the soil too tightly. The seed needs room to breathe and grow. A gentle pat will do. Once you've planted your seeds, give them a good soak with a watering can or hose set on a gentle spray. This will settle the soil around the seeds and provide the moisture they need to start germinating. And one last thing, label your plants. It can be easy to forget what you've planted where, especially when the plants are still small and look similar. A simple label can help you keep track of what's growing in your garden. And just like that, you've planted your first seeds. But the work doesn't stop there. Water and nutrients are vital for your plant's growth. Just as we need food and water to thrive, so too do our leafy companions. But how much is too much, and when is it not enough? Let's dive in. Firstly, watering. A common mistake among new gardeners is overwatering. Plants, like people, can drown. The key is to water thoroughly, but infrequently. This encourages the roots to grow deep, making the plant more resilient. A good rule of thumb is to water when the top 1 to 2 inches of soil is dry. This can vary depending on the plant, the climate, and the season, so it's important to do a bit of research on what your specific plants prefer. Now, what about overwatering? How can you tell if you're giving your plants too much H2O? Signs include yellowing leaves, a lack of growth, or a wilting plant that doesn't perk up after being watered. If you notice these symptoms, give your plant a break and let the soil dry out before watering again. Moving on to fertilizers. They're like multivitamins for your plants, giving them the nutrients they need to grow strong and healthy. Organic fertilizers, such as compost or worm castings, are a great option. They not only feed your plants, but also improve the structure and health of your soil. Use them in moderation, though. Too much can be just as harmful as too little. How often should you fertilize? It depends on the plant and the fertilizer you're using. Some plants like a regular feed, others prefer just a few times a year. Again, do some research and see what works best for your particular plants. To sum up, watering and fertilizing are a balancing act. Too little water or nutrients and your plants can wither and die. Too much and they can drown or burn. It's all about finding that sweet spot, that perfect balance that allows your plants to thrive. Remember, balance is key when it comes to watering and fertilizing your plants. Now it's time to monitor your plants and ensure they are growing well. As your green friends start to grow, it's crucial to keep an eye out for any signs of trouble. It's like being a plant detective, except the stakes are your future salads and stir-fries. First, let's talk about plant diseases. These can be caused by fungi, bacteria, or viruses and can manifest in a variety of ways. Yellowing leaves, for instance, can indicate a nutrient deficiency or a disease like chlorosis. Fuzzy white spots, on the other hand, could be a sign of powdery mildew, a common fungal disease. To combat these issues, try using natural remedies first. A mixture of baking soda and water can help control fungal diseases, and adding compost to your soil can provide the essential nutrients your plants need to fight off bacterial infections. If these methods don't work, you might need to consider using a commercial plant disease control product. Pests are another common problem in home gardens. Aphids, caterpillars, and slugs, oh my. These little critters can do quite a bit of damage if left unchecked. Aphids, for example, suck the sap out of plant leaves, while caterpillars munch away at your precious greens. To naturally control pests, consider introducing beneficial insects into your garden. Ladybugs and lacewings, for instance, are natural predators of aphids. You can also make homemade sprays using ingredients like garlic or hot pepper, which can deter many types of pests. Remember, the key to handling both diseases and pests is early detection. Regularly check your plants for any signs of distress. Look under leaves, around stems, and even in the soil. The sooner you spot a problem, the easier it will be to address. Finally, keep in mind that not all problems are caused by diseases or pests. Environmental factors like too much or too little water, incorrect temperatures, and inadequate light can also affect plant health. With regular monitoring, you'll be able to tackle any issues before they harm your crops. Remember, your plants are depending on you. Happy gardening. Finally, the most rewarding part of home farming, harvesting your crops. It's like unwrapping nature's gift, a reward for all the care and dedication you've poured into your garden. Timing is crucial when it comes to harvesting. The moment you pluck a vegetable or cut an herb, it stops receiving nutrients from the plant, so it's important to harvest at the peak of ripeness for the best taste and nutritional value. For leafy greens like lettuce and spinach, start harvesting when the leaves are young and tender. You can either pick the outer leaves individually as they mature, or cut the entire plant from the base. Root vegetables like carrots and beets are ready to harvest when they reach the desired size. If you're unsure, gently brush away some soil from the top of the root. If it looks big enough, pull it out gently, taking care not to damage the surrounding plants. Herbs should be harvested just before they flower, as this is when their flavor is most intense. Snip off the top third of the plant, making sure to leave enough leaves for the plant to continue growing. As for tomatoes, peppers, and squash, wait until they're fully colored and slightly soft to the touch. A gentle twist should be enough to remove them from the plant. Once you've harvested your crops, the next step is to store and preserve them. Most vegetables can be stored in a cool, dark place for several days, but leafy greens and herbs should be used as soon as possible for maximum freshness. For long-term storage, consider methods like freezing, canning, or drying. Remember, the more you harvest, the more your plants will produce, so don't be shy about picking your crops. It's a cycle of abundance that rewards not just your palate, but your well-being too. And there you have it, fresh produce right from your garden to your table. Growing your own food at home is not only rewarding, but also a great way to live sustainably. This is the wisdom we've come to appreciate together over the last few moments. Let's take a moment to reflect on the journey we've shared. First, we learned about selecting the right plants. We understood that the choice we make here can have a significant impact on our success. Each plant has its own unique needs and growing conditions, and by aligning these with our local environment and personal preferences, we can set ourselves up for a bountiful harvest. Next, we dived into the art of preparing the soil. We discovered that soil is much more than just dirt. It's a living, breathing ecosystem that provides the foundation for our plants to grow. By nurturing our soil, we're not just feeding our plants, we're also supporting a whole network of life beneath the surface. Then we discussed planting the seeds. We saw how this simple act of placing a seed into the soil and giving it the right conditions to grow can be a powerful symbol of hope and potential. Each seed we plant is a promise of a future harvest, a testament to our faith in the natural world. Afterwards, we explored watering and fertilizing our plants. We learned that this is about more than just quenching their thirst or giving them a quick boost of nutrients. It's about providing consistent, ongoing care that helps our plants grow strong and healthy. We also talked about monitoring our plants. This step reminded us that gardening is not a one-time event, but a continuous process of observation and response. By staying in tune with our plants' needs, we can catch potential issues early and keep our garden thriving. Finally, we celebrated the joy of harvesting our crops. We saw how all our hard work and patience can pay off in the form of fresh, homegrown food that nourishes our bodies and delights our senses. So, what are you waiting for? It's time to roll up your sleeves and get your hands in the dirt. Start small, be patient, and soon you'll be enjoying the fruits of your labor. Happy farming!